I'm running for governor to make California golden again.
Steve Hilton stopped by the state capitol Friday. This week, the British native, former conservative political advisor and Fox News host, launched his campaign for governor. He's running as a Republican.
So I think it's not actually about party, it's not red or blue, it's about who's the change candidate, who's going to bring the change that we need, who's going to end 15 years of one-party rule by the Democrats and bring a bit of balance, a bit of common sense. That's what it's about. I think people are desperate for change, and I want to be the candidate that is clearly out there arguing for the positive, practical changes we need. And it's really not partisan.
The folks at your rally, I don't think folks would see them as nonpartisan between Charlie Kirk and Kevin Kiley, for example. And I know you told Fox 11 that you'd be honored to have President Donald Trump's endorsement if he were to give it. I know that's not necessarily something you're seeking, as far as I understand, but in 2026, I mean, are you confident that being a Republican would garner you enough of the electorate that right now, I mean, Democrats out-register Republicans 2-1 in this state? I mean, do you feel good about those chances?
I feel good about being the person who represents change. And 2026 in California is going to be an election about our future in California. What direction do we want to go in?
And just to explore this nonpartisan campaign that you say you're running, is there anything that, since you've lived here since 2012, that the Democratic Party has gotten right here in California?
It's so interesting, actually. I've been asked that question. I find I'll need to study a little bit harder to think of something, because, look, I don't want to be partisan for the sake of it, but just look at the facts. I mean, I just wrote a book called Califalia. The subtitle was Reversing the Ruin of America's Worst Run State. And when you look at the facts, it's very difficult to come to any other conclusion. I mean, we've talked about some of the numbers: the highest unemployment rate, the highest poverty rate, the highest taxes, the worst business climate. I mean, these are the worst in all of America, not even in the middle of the table. And we could go on: highest gas prices, highest cost for electricity, housing, water, everything is just going in the wrong direction.
Hilton told me his main campaign promise is to make life in California more affordable. He says he would give Californians making less than $100,000 a year a tax break, no longer requiring them to pay state income taxes.
Half of the state's budget goes toward education, and the government is a major employer for people across the state. So that could mean less dollars to public schools, as well as less jobs for folks who have them right now. I mean, how would you respond to critics who'd have some serious concerns about that?
Well, remember that 38% of the state budget goes to public schools, whatever the budget is. That's the first point. The other thing to remember is that in the last 10 years in California, we've doubled the state budget. Doubled. Is everything twice as good? No, it's actually worse. So the idea that spending more money gets you good results is not borne out by the facts.
At the state capitol, Ashley Zavala, KCRA3 News.
And you can watch more of that interview online right now on the KCRA3 app or KCRA.com. And if you can scan the QR code there on your screen, you can use that, and we have a full list of who is running currently for California's next governor, and you can also find important dates for voters in 2026.